Hi, in this tutorial I want to show you how easy it is to build a simple HTTP server in Scala using Scalatra. The first step to do is to create a new SBT project, what I have already done here, and to navigate to your build SBT file to add new dependencies. So in your build SBT we need to take library dependencies variable and pass it to ++ equals a sequence of our dependencies. The first one is org Scalatra. Here we need also write Scalatra and pass the version. The most recent version as of today is 2.5.4. And another dependency is org eclipse jetty. And here we need to pass jetty webpack. And I don't remember the version by heart, so I'll just copy paste it here. That's it. We have added dependencies. Just a few words about our dependencies. Scalatra, as you already might know, is a free web micro framework, meaning that all the shit that you don't really need when you develop a simple REST API, like what we are going to do in this tutorial, it was cut off from it, and only the essential things were left. And it perfectly fits development of small applications, and if you are not planning to develop a huge complicated system, Scalatra will satisfy your needs in HTTP server in 90% of the cases. And the other dependency is Jetty, and we use it because Jetty is a Java HTTP web server and Java servlet container, and we needed to run our Scalatra on it. So now let's create a web service builder. I'll just create in my main Scalatra a new Scala class, and it will be called web service builder. Okay. I'll make it a bit bigger so it's more convenient for you to see, and instead of class I'll make it an object. And here I'm gonna define a function which will be called build web service, and it will take two parameters. First one is port, and it will take integer. Oh, I misspelled it. Integer, right? And the other parameter will be web service class, which will take a class which should extend servlet. Alright. And we'll import servlet from Java X servlet. Alright, and now we need to implement this function. And in this function, first what we want to do is to create server. And we create server by simply defining new server where we pass the port. Server we need to import from Eclipse Jetty server. When we have a server, we need to create context, and we need to create new web app context. We import it again from Jetty web app, and having context, we need to set some parameters. In context, we need first to set context path. I'll just put a slash here. I'll explain later what all this means. We need also to set resource base, and resource base, let it be whatever, TMP. And we also need to add servlet. Add servlet. And in servlet we'll add web service class that we pass here. And the other parameter is the pass, and it will be also the root with such a star after it as a wildcard. And to server, when we take server, we need to set a handler, and in this handler we need to pass context, and we will have to return server. So let's go more in detail what we are doing here. So the first, let's have a look at this set context path, and it is just a prefix for a URL which is used to select a context for our incoming request. So typically a URL in a Java servlet server has the following format. Let's write it here. It has format like it starts like with HTTP, right? Then you write host name, then you let it be com, and then you put context path, and then servlet path. So it has also it has path info. Okay, like this. So this is a typical format of a Java servlet URL, and each of the path elements, they can have 0 or more parameters that are separated with a slash element. If there is no context path, so if you are missing this part, the context is referred to as the root context. So here we are, when we put set context path here, we're just referring to the root. How you set the context path in a real application, it depends on how you deploy the web application. Since we do not need a context path in my app, we just refer to the root with this slash symbol, and we're happy with it. In here, where we set the resource base, I just define a path to the folder with the resources, and I define it just randomly a TMP folder. And it is not relevant for this tutorial how it works and what it does. However, to make the server work correctly, we still need to pass this configuration to the context. And here, in this line, we pass the class of web service, and this web service is a servlet, and the path to map this servlet to. When the context is configured, here we pass it to the server to use it as a handler, and then we just simply return the server. Voila, this is the configuration of the server. It's done, and now we have a server, meaning that we can create our REST API. And for this purpose, we need to create a new Scala class. I will call it web service. Okay. And this class, it needs to extend Scalatra servlet that we import from org Scalatra servlet package. And here we can define our REST API. So we define a get method, which will take requests from our root. So we just pass so just the symbol here, and it means that whenever I address the root of my application, it will proceed this GET request. So let's write here Scalatra rules, and that's it. So easy it is to create a web service. We're actually done. Let's test it and create a main file, and it should extend app. Here we need to instantiate our server. Let's call it, well, server will be equal to web service builder, where we build server. Let's put a port. It was an integer. Let's make it 8080, and we need to pass the class of web service. Okay, our server is ready, and we can start it. So now we need to configure our application, choose our class. Oh, I doesn't want to accept main. It should be an object, my bad. I forget to make an object out of class. So here I can add application, app, choose main class. Alright, it's in red, but it doesn't matter. Working directory, environment variable, GRE, default, it's okay. Everything seems to be fine. Apply. Here I can run it. So now we are running the application. We see here is processing. Okay, we see the console. It seems that our server has started. So we should go to the browser. Let's go to our browser. Let's go in here and go to our local host 8080, and at our local host 8080 we see our string Scalatra rules. So each time we make a GET request to our server, it returns our strings that we have defined in our web service. So that's it. This is how easy it is to build a HTTP server in Scala using Scalatra. Actually, we have created less than 20 lines of code, and you can go on further now.